So today we're going to be doing the Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood character tier list. Now, like I said in the review, there's so many characters that need to be talked about in this anime that trying to fit it all into the review means that I'll have to skip out on some characters, means that some of them will not get mentioned. So I want to do a character tier list like we did with Bleach, just so we could talk about each character and appreciate them all in their glory. Let's put it that way. So we're going to be doing the traditional tier list format. Here we have S, A, B, C, irrelevant, and F. The reason I have it irrelevant is there's some characters who are in it, but they don't do anything, or for the most part, I don't really have any strong feelings on them, so they go in irrelevant. So let's get into the tier list. First, we have Major Armstrong. He's a state alchemist, and I guess his alchemy power is called beautiful something. I can't remember exactly, but it's because his muscles are so beautiful and he can punch shit. And I mean, he's got a nice mustache. He's got an interesting hairstyle, to say the least. I'm going to put him in C. I think he's a decent character. Doesn't play that much of a part in the entire anime, but he still is a decent... He gets a decent chunk. You know, his development isn't exactly stellar, but he does play a part in the anime, and I'll give him a C. Next, we have Barry the Chopper. He's meant to be comic relief, I think. I'm going to put him in C as well. Again, doesn't really play too much of a part. He's just there to be laughed at, and I don't think he's that funny. He was also kind of put in there to show that other people can have their souls affixed to armor, but hey, he dies to himself, you know? That was an interesting ending to his character. I think he was a fun character, but I don't think he was by any means a good character. Next, we have King Bradley, also known as Ra. I really like King Bradley's character. I mean, he is one of the most intimidating characters. He's also a very cool character. He's got the eye patch. He's got the dual swords. He kind of looks a bit like comic book Nick Fury. He has a weird mindset. I can't tell if he's genuinely evil or not, but I'm going to put him in A. I think most scenes or most parts that have Bradley in the most episodes are going to be entertaining. His presence just makes the anime better, in my opinion. I'll put him in A. I think he's a solid character. Captain Buccaneer. He's like the second in command of the equivalent of the Wall in the Wall from Game of Thrones. They have kind of one of these in Full Metal Alchemist 2, and he's the second in command of that. I'll put him right next to these two. I think this is where he belongs. He goes out in a great fashion. The way he dies is pretty cool. He's got some nice auto mail, but again, he's just kind of a typical anime character, and there's plenty of characters who are kind of just like him. I'm gonna put him in C. Next, we have Winry, who for a period of this anime was moving a bit like Inoue. She was kind of pissing me off. She was going on her "oh, I'm helpless" arc. I need to get stronger, kind of like Inoue was in the Arrancar arc when she got captured. Winry was doing that for a while, and it was kind of pissing me off because she was just getting in the way, you know. But at some point, you know, towards 75%, they just send her home. They say, yeah, go home, and then she's not really in it. She kind of just gets shelved, which I think was probably a good decision considering she couldn't really do anything from that point onwards. I'm going to put her in C. I think she's a decent character. Not as annoying as other love interests like Sakura or Inoue, but she's not the greatest character. Next, we have this dude who's like a little bitch and wants to get immortality, but doesn't really offer anything except getting captured and levying empty threats. I'm going to put him in F. He's a shit character. He does nothing. He's just a bitch. Next, we have this guy. Forgot his name. He is irrelevant. He is irrelevant. He's literally there to look after Edward and Alphonse as their guardians when Major Armstrong has to do something else. Him and the girl who gets cooked alive, but doesn't really get cooked alive. And he kind of just runs around towards the end of the anime looking for people, not really being very helpful. So he goes in irrelevant. Next, we have the dog. I mean, it's a dog with an auto mail on his leg. I don't know how he lost his leg, but it's a cool dog. I'll put him in B. Next, we have this kid. I think this is Hughes' child. I think so. She's put in there kind of for cuteness factor, I guess. Doesn't really do anything. I'll put her in irrelevant. Next, we have Envy. Envy is probably one of the characters in this anime that gets a complete character cycle. Like, you get to see them go through all kinds of emotions and realizing what they are. And if you really want to delve deep into it, I'm sure someone has done it somewhere. But Envy, also one of those characters who looks like a woman but is a man. I'm gonna put Envy in S tier. I actually think Envy is one of the best characters in this anime. Genuinely evil, but also has a lot of involvement throughout the anime. You get to know the character. You get to see them at their strongest and their weakest. Also transforms into this massive dinosaur thing, which is really creepy. CGI looks a bit weird on it, but he's still a pretty cool character. And yeah, put him in S. Next, we have Father, or Homunculus, or whatever you want to call him. I'm going to put him in A tier. I think the Father as a character, because they kind of hide him for a while. You think that he's Van Hohenheim, and then, you know, he's just there as Father. You don't really get too much lore on him until towards the end of the anime. The Father character's kind of shit. right? He's just annoying. He does nothing except be overpowered, right? And look a bit like God. I'll put him in A though, because when you get to finally figure out who he is and his evil plan and all that shit, he turns into a very cool character. I'm gonna put him in A tier. Next, we have King Bradley's wife. She's irrelevant. She goes on a podcast towards the end of the anime and just cries, and that's about it. Next, we have Fu. Reminds me of Onbu Black Ops. Actually, this guy. You could put him in Naruto. He wouldn't look out of place. I'm gonna put him in B. I think his death scene is pretty strong. You know, he goes out fighting. Pretty cool warrior, and yeah, B. Pretty cool character. Not much to say. Kind of does disappear for most of the anime though. They kind of just bench him. Next we have Gluttony. One of the more, I don't know how to put it, but he's in a lot of the anime, but he doesn't do anything. He just eats stuff. He's kind of brain dead. Like he can't do anything for himself. He can barely talk, and yeah, he just eats shit. His power is pretty OP because once he eats you, you can't get out unless you know you're special. But yeah, his ending is also pretty shit. He just gets consumed by pride. So I would put him in B. I don't think he's a terrible character, but I think he could have been utilized a little better than just being like a sidekick who just kind of there for. I don't know what he's there for, to be honest. This is Hughes's wife. She's irrelevant. She doesn't really do anything. Greed. I'm gonna put Greed in the S tier as well. I think it was really interesting to see a homunculus who was not on board with the father's plan, even though the father was so much stronger than him. He still went against the grain, and it was interesting to see a homunculus team up with the protagonist and fight against his father, even if it was for his own personal benefit. The dynamic between Greed and Ling was pretty interesting to watch. I'll put him in S. I think he's a really cool character. Next, we have their sensei. I mean, she borders on irrelevant for the most part. She kind of just feels sorry for herself for a long time. She's just meant to be that typical tropey anime woman who's intimidating. I'm gonna put her in C. I don't think she's that cool. I don't think she does anything that cool. I mean, she's a pretty cool alchemist, but for the most part, she's not really that relevant. This dog is another dog, so he'll go and B, I guess. This guy is a chimera. I think he's the lion dude. I can't remember which one is which. All I know is they're not the strongest and they kind of just get bullied. So I'm gonna put him in C. Next, we have this guy who I can only remember him from kind of orchestrating the podcasting with the guy's wife towards the end. He's one of Mustang's guys. I'm gonna put him in irrelevant. Hughes, I actually like Hughes as a character. He was meant to be kind of cringe, but he was also very smart, and it was sad to see him go. Him dying so early on in the anime, it actually set up a lot of things to go forward, and it was also pretty heartbreaking to see that. I'm gonna put him in A. I think he's a pretty cool character. Havoc, I mean, once he gets paralyzed, he doesn't really do anything, and he's also just a side dish. I'll put him in irrelevant. I don't care. Radio Boy, he's also irrelevant. Kimberly. Kimberly's actually quite a disturbing character because he's genuinely evil. Like, he genuinely just wants to do fucking genocide against the Ishbalians or whatever. Like, he just wants to kill things. And he's super powerful. He's always on the side of the homunculi, which was unexpected, although he just wants power. He doesn't really care whose side he's on. He kind of does get betrayed in the end and get eaten, but then he gets his revenge and I guess just helps out Edward in the end. Pretty terrifying character, but I also think why he's terrible is what makes him so good. I'll put him in A. Although his two strands of hair that hang down in front of his face, well, really annoying to see. The King of Xerxes, he just looks like a bitch. He is a bitch. He's going in F. He just wanted immortality. He got tricked, and then he started all of this. If it wasn't for him, you know, nothing would have happened and everything would have been fine. This doctor guy who seems very depressed all the time, you know, he's got PTSD, his family left him, you know, he just helps people even though he doesn't want to. He's pretty irrelevant to the entire thing. I'll put him in irrelevant. Is her name Lan Fang? Or Lang Fang, I think her name is. I'm gonna put her next to her granddad. I think she's a pretty cool character. When she cuts her arm off, that was pretty badass. I have to say that much. That was pretty cool. She goes in B. Ling, initially, Ling was super annoying. He was just scamming Edward for food and paying all his bills. But then he kind of goes serious and you see his real character. Before he turns into Greed/Ling, he was pretty cool. His fights were cool. He was just a cool character. I said cool like 10 times. Good character. And then when he has that weird alternating thing with Greed, I think that is pretty good too. I'll put him in A. Lust. I mean, Lust is the one homunculus that's dead way before the end of the anime. Like, she dies very quickly. And she's also meant to be the main threat for the first part of the anime. Like, she seems to be the main bad guy, but she just doesn't have much character exploration. Mustang just cooks her alive, turns her into fucking charcoal. I'm gonna put her in, I guess I put her in B, but she doesn't really do anything. past killing a few people towards the beginning. She doesn't even kill Hughes because envy kills Hughes. The woman who gets turned into charcoal as well, I'll put her next to her friend in Irrelevant. The girl with the panda. The girl with the panda is pretty cool. She has like the coolest alchemy because she can like do it from distances. She has a cool panda, so that helps. I put her in B. She does do something stupid by coming back for no reason and basically letting envy retake her form or his form, which was just stupid. But it annoyed me that happened. But hey, I guess it completed the character arc. She is kind of useless towards the end too. It is what it is. Next we have Major Miles, the half Ishbalian guy who's kind of advocates killing people. He has morals, but he also is pretty stern. He doesn't really play that big a part. He just kind of takes command when his commander, who's next to him, leaves. I'll put him in C. I don't think he's that interesting of a character. So next we have Major General Armstrong, who beats up her brother for fun. There is a cool battle with her and her brother against Kenpachi in the end. For anyone who doesn't get the reference, Kenpachi and Sloth is voiced by the same guy. And I noticed it. I didn't even have to Google it. I noticed it. But yeah, she's a pretty cool character. I actually think she's a good character. I'll put her in A. She can be annoying at times, but you can never tell what side she's on, although you know what side she's on. It's weird to explain. I'll put her in A though. The girl who steals Eric's pocket watch, irrelevant. The old grandma, she borders on irrelevant, but she's kind of funny. It's kind of ironic that she keeps calling Edward a midget when she's a midget. But yeah, she gets a C. Hawkeye, not the one with the bow and arrow. This one's the sniper. She's more of a dead shot than Hawkeye, I guess. But she's meant to be really good with the sniper. She's Mustang's second in command. I thought she was going to die towards the end of the anime, but she survived. I think she's actually a decent character. I'll put her in B. I don't even know who this is. I'll just put them in irrelevant. I don't even remember seeing them. They're not even drawn in color. Like, what's going on? God's brother. I mean, I don't understand. I guess they tried to shoehorn in a way to get like Scar relevant to the whole thing. And the whole story behind him was that this guy was like researching Eastern and Western alchemy and he had found the combination between both. And as Kimberly was fucking bombing his town, he had found it out. And then he went, and by the time he finds it out, you know, everyone's dying in his town and then he gets crushed by a rock. And then he transfers his powers to his brother, I guess. I'm not entirely sure what happened. I had to give him a C because he's not irrelevant, but he does nothing. He does nothing, and then towards the end they just go, they have his research, and they just go, oh, well, he knew it all along. You know, he was fucking Eisen. He just foresaw everything. Next we have Selim. He's just an annoying kid, isn't he? I don't think he was that annoying. He's meant to be the goody two shoes. To be fair, the plot twist with Selim to Pride was pretty good. I have to say that much. But I'll give him a C. I think this is the guy who turned his daughter into the dog. Like, he merged the daughter and the dog. That's in, like, episode 4, and that was one of the most disturbing things I've seen in anime. I don't know why that it disturbed me so much what this guy did, but he's going in F. Disgusting. I don't even know who this is. Irrelevant. Thingy's wife, the sensei's wife, he's actually pretty cool. He's a butcher, and him and Major Armstrong, or not Major, Lieutenant, whatever this guy is, they have a muscle contest towards the end of the anime for some reason. I put him in C. I think he's a pretty cool character. I actually like him more than his wife, which is interesting. Next, we have the other guy who had his soul affixed to armor. This one is pretty irrelevant in my opinion. I'll put him in there. Kenpachi, or Sloth, the homunculus I relate to the most. I actually quite like it. I put him in A. I don't know what it is. I just like him. He's just a fun character. He just gets the shit beat out of him too repeatedly and just keeps getting up. One of the most durable. And it was quite a plot twist that he was the fastest homunculus of everybody. He also has a cool design. He's also shredded. Like, absolutely shredded. And yeah, I just like him. I don't know. He's the last one to appear though, as well, isn't he? Or is Pride the last one to appear? I'm not sure. Next we have Edward and Alphonse's mother. She's like a sweet lady, but she dies of illness. I'm not 100% sure why she died, but she died because she was ill or something, and they couldn't save her, and she's the whole reason why they lose their bodies. I'll put her in C. I think she's not irrelevant because she's relevant, but she doesn't do anything, so I'll put her in C. Who the fuck are you? You see what I mean? Some of these characters appear in like one episode. I can't remember who they are. She looks so familiar. Is this just not Winry? It looks exactly like Winry. I'm gonna put her in irrelevant, whoever it is. This guy's another chimera. I don't know which one. There's a toad. There's the toad guy. There's the lion guy. This is Donkey Kong, though. This guy here, he's Donkey Kong. He goes in C. One of them is a lion. One of them is a toad. One of them is the guy who shoots the spikes. Like, he's like a lizard, I guess. I'll put all the chimeras in C. Anyway, next we have Pride. Pride. This guy actually has quite an a whole like a whole arc in terms of his character arc goes full circle to his from him being super strong to being defeated. I'll put him in S2. I actually think Pride's a really, really good character. And the plot twist, the character twist, it was almost like the Attack on Titan thing when you found out Ryan is the armored Titan. It was almost like that for me. Edward, I'll put Ed in S. I think he's one of the best characters, although his moral high grounding can get kind of annoying. He goes in S. Alphonse, I'll also put Alphonse in S. I thought he was like some robot that Edward made when I saw like the posters of Full Metal, but he's actually a really good character. And I think these two as a combo protagonist works really, really well. The girl who gets turned into the dog, I mean, it was so disturbing, man. I put her in C. Where's the dog? He should go there too. I also put the panda in B because the panda's pretty cool. This Dr. Marco, I'm putting Dr. Marco in F. The guy is a fucking bitch. Like, he's literally useless. He gets his face disfigured for no reason. Pretty much like, oh, they'll recognize you, but it's just no point. I don't know why he gets that. He kind of switches sides throughout. They said if he leaves, they'll blow up his village. I wonder if they did blow up his village in the end. I don't know. He's just a bitch, and in the last thing, he just disappears when everyone's fighting. Somehow has a philosopher's stone to heal people at the end as a bit of plot armor. I'm putting him in F. I don't like his character. Next we have Mustang. As I call Mustang, I call him the Levi Ackerman of this anime because I don't know if they're voiced for the same guy. I don't think they are, but they remind me of each other. Mustang and Levi are very similar characters. I'll put him in A. I like his character and his flame alchemy. And his flame alchemy is probably the best alchemy of everybody. He just barbecues people. It's really entertaining to watch. This guy, who the fuck are you, bro? I don't know who this is. He's going in F. He looks like he's one of the generals. Let me see if I can find him. No, I just can't find him, bro. I'm not going to reverse image search this guy. I just realized the Toad guy's not on the list. Well, he would go and see anyway. Anyway, next we have the priest guy who has like a shard of Philosopher's Stone that the homunculi gave him. And he just thinks he's like God. Or he pretends that he is a god. F. I didn't like his character. He's a dick. He was an F. Next we have Van Hohenheim, who literally is the most mysterious guy in the world. You think he's the ultimate bad guy for a while. I think his character arc is actually quite interesting. I'm going to put him a very high A. I think he's a very good character. Who is this guy? I don't know who this is. He's got the same... Are these Winry's parents? They might be Winry's parents. They are pretty irrelevant. Next we have Scar. Scar, another guy that's really well-rounded. Character arc, I'm going to put him in S tier. I really like his character. I think he's really cool. And to review, let me see if there's anyone that needs to move. Anyone that should move up. I mean, I guess Wrath could be put up into S tier. I think also, I just like Sloth. I don't know why I would put him in S tier, but yeah, this is my list. I think these are the best characters. I don't know who the best is. I'm just going to leave it like this. In terms of B, yeah, that makes sense. C, I'm sure some of the C characters could move up if I really wanted to, but no. Irrelevant, they are all irrelevant, pretty much. And then these guys in F, I think that makes sense in my head. But anyway, you guys let me know what you agree with, what you disagree with, and I'll see you all next time.